Hello, everyone. This is Elspeth McSorley with Mega. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, HOPEX V5 is here. Come see what's possible with a Nextgen EA tool. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you all. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please send them through the question box on your GoToWebinar toolbar. We will do our best to answer them during the presentation or at the end. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with everyone who registered later today. So with our housekeeping items out of the way, let me introduce you to today's speakers. All right, with you today, we have Yannick Rudloff. He is the Managing Director for Mega North America, and Nicholas Hadfield. He is our Senior Pre-Sales Engineer. Without further ado, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Yannick.
Thank you very much, Elspeth, for this introduction. So very glad to be here today with you all. Very glad to be able to share this new platform that we have released called HOPEX V5, and really glad to be able to share all the news that we have, the new features that we will show today, that we will demonstrate today in this webinar. So before going there, just for introduction on who is Mega, who are we, because we have today maybe some attendees who don't know really who we are. So Mega is a software company. We deal with enterprise architecture software. So basically we provide a software and services around enterprise architecture. So we've been around for a number of years. We've been doing that for a while, but you will see today that we add innovation in each of our releases, and that we're very proud to have made changes to our platform from what it was 30 years ago to what you will see today, which is a huge enhancement, and you will see all the improvement that we've added to the platform. Of course, we have a lot of experience. We've been dealing with EA projects with 2,000 customers over more than 50 countries. And we've been a leader in Gartner, in Forrester, and in Quadrant as well for instance, 12 years in a row, leader in Magic Quadrant from Gartner. But the one that we value the most is when our customers are talking. And every year, they are telling Gartner, in that case, that HOPEX is a customer choice tool, meaning that they appreciate the service that we give to them, and they appreciate the tool and working with the solution. So we're very proud of that because the value comes from our customers actually using our solution. So talking about solution, today we introduce HOPEX V5. Right, so HOPEX V5 has been released a couple of months ago. So today we are announcing that to the US market globally to make it known and to make this vision known into the market. And with that HOPEX V5, what is the most important thing that you can see here is that we are introducing a new program called EA Next Generation, or Nextgen, how we call that at Mega. The idea of that is it means 4 things for us. It means that when we have been working on EA projects for a while, we've been taking in the past sometimes the approach of working on frameworks and working on meta models and diagrams and so on. And we want to make sure that every time we have an EA project, right now it is business outcome driven. So everything we put in our platform, every report, everything that we add has to have the philosophy of being business outcome driven. It has to be consumed by a business to make decisions. Second, working on EA project, we've seen that some of the EA projects were focusing a lot on inventory, a lot of lengthy, I would say, data gathering in the platform. Right now, what we've introduced in that V5 Next Gen, we have introduced a lot of automated connectors to discover SaaS application, to discover automatic technologies, to discover processes, to discover data. to make sure that we avoid this lengthy process and we move on to the real role of the next-gen enterprise architect that I'm going to talk about. Secondly, we've seen that when we work with some projects, the EA solution, it may sometimes be a little bit on standalone, meaning that we have data that we input from stakeholders. And what we want to do is we want to be able to have an EA that is connected to its ecosystem. Connected means that it is connected to other solutions like CMDB, like project management, etc., but also connected in environment with the people who are using the solution, connected to the stakeholders to make sure that when they connect, they consume information that they can understand, digest, and make decisions on. And finally, we've seen as well enterprise architecture be done based on a lot of diagramming and I would say again data that you have to input and report that is based on the data. What we've introduced as well in this platform is smart reporting, and again we will see that in the demonstration today, the ability to give recommendation and actually start to make decisions based on that. Before we go to more of the details on what we've done, I would like to review a point that is fundamental for us. Enterprise architecture is meant to help the company transformation, evolution, especially on the planning side of things. What we think at Mega is that transformation does not happen in silo. It requires a connected view. And here we go to the basis of the vision of OPEX. That means that whenever we are working in an EA environment, we think that when we want to transform, and transformation can take many, I would say forms, as I will talk about later, but we think that you need to have an IT view, a business view, a data view, a compliance view, and a risk view. Whenever you want to introduce new products or services, is it to introduce a new SaaS services? Whenever you want to introduce a new CRM, change an ERP, if you want to shift from agency to an online business, if you want to do safe cloud migration, all of this migration, all of these changes would require you to have business, data, IT, risk, and compliance connected at the same time. And this is where the unique features of HOPEX come to light, where we have that connected platform with multiple, I would say, stakeholders having synergy around that platform, and that we make sure that everybody shares the same information. When we talk about application, we share the same information. When we talk about data, we share the same information. So for us, this is the essence of the platform that we've built. And we will continue to do that. You will see that we have introduced new use cases around data and compliance and risk that will continue to elaborate, to sophisticate our vision, our connected vision right there. The approach that we take at Mega, and this is very important for us, is that we really want to be business outcome driven. Then again, every report, every view that we build right now needs to be business outcome driven. And again, you will see that in some slides that I have later on and in the demonstration, that we want to focus on the value and not on the documentation of, I would say, EA assets. We want to focus on what we do with that and the recommendation we can provide with them. Connected platform, in our view, is represented by the slide that I show you right now. This means that we want to give to the enterprise architect the role that they must have, meaning the planning side of the job. So when we talk about connected platform, we really want to automate some of the tasks that the enterprise architecture are doing right now that are time consuming and prevents them to focus on maybe more business planning or business oriented views that needs to be produced. Here you see that in our connected platform, we want to be able to do discovery. That's on the right side. And discovery with new features around process mining, meaning that if you have some process mining, I would say kind of projects, we're able to connect to process mining solutions, get the data in, and then be able to simulate, be able to enhance processes, and be able to basically grab the information quickly and work with the information without having to redo everything. Second thing, we've added inside of the solution a data discovery feature, meaning that you can connect to data sources, be able to collect information inside of the solution and base your data glossary on this. So you don't have to recreate everything again. You can start from your data discovery. And then two pieces that we provide as well, SaaS discovery and cloud discovery. SaaS discovery will mean that we will be able to understand which SaaS service you use today with a partner of Mega called Bimi, and be able to put that into the repository and see clearly the shadow IT side of your business right now, and put them in the repository to understand which businesses are served by this shadow IT application and where you have the most rationalization that you can provide. And same on cloud discovery, we can actually now with our partner Aerosent scan cloud platforms and be able to import that directly into our solution. And on the left side, you see that we have added some connectors to industry content features such as APQC and BN that was already there, but we've enhanced that. And we've added as well the UCF regulation that would enable you for IT compliance, NIST compliance, GDPR compliance, CCPA compliance, understand directly which are the compliant pieces you need to be compliant with, which are the controls you need to apply, and then link those controls to the applications, the processes, the technologies that needs to be in scope of that control. So for us, the goal is really to be able to bring in a lot of this information automatically and pre-formatted within the repository, not start from the blank page, and then put the enterprise architect where it needs to add the value that is on the planning side, on the connection pieces, and making sure that we can achieve the business outcome that we have, that we want to provide. When we talk about the Nextgen platform, it's I would say rest on three pillars. I talked about that later before. We talk about automated enterprise architecture. So mainly to discover automatically application data processes, making sure that we auto-populate with industry content, and making sure that based on this, we can automatically render diagrams and visualization. Again, we will see that in the demonstration a bit later on. And this will clearly accelerate the time to value. The second piece is that we want to connect to multiple views in order to leverage better what we already have and make sure that we can, I would say, connect the business to the data, to the risk, to the IT, and to have a unique view with all of this information. And finally, we want our reports not to show only what we have in an EA repository, but they have to provide insights. Based on what you have entered in the repository, we can actually tell you what your IT landscape will look like in 2 years, in 3 and 4 years, where you can anticipate some changes. What kind of application would be better to go on the cloud right now? Which one are less important because they don't serve a business critical mission today? So all of that is automated, and we want to be able to provide you with insights and recommendations for new architectures or new changes based on what exists within the repository. For Mega, the business outcome-driven challenge that we have is to switch from a documentation tool to an operational tool, a change operational tool, a transformation operational tool. This is where we want to be with this platform of Mega HOPEX V5. Talking about the role of Nextgen Architect, given what we put today on the market, we clearly understand that we are reshifting a little bit also the way that we want to work with the platform and the way that enterprise architecture will serve their customers internally. And we think that, of course, the Nextgen architect, enterprise architect, will be focused a bit on rationalization as well, making sure that on the IT side, we have an IT portfolio or a business portfolio that is managed, plan, that we give visibility, that we manage the tech business planning, and that we manage the rationalization of tech debt cloud migration. But the next-gen architect has as well to be focused a lot on transformation, making sure that when we transform the enterprise, we give the right guidelines to the enterprise, making sure that we deliver a new solution. Do we follow the right standards? Are we enabling the right cloud deployments? Are we enabling the right components in the company that would be, I would say, compliant with a regulation, SOC 2 or NIST, anything like this? We also want to be able to work on product digitization and product architecture, making sure that when we make an evolution and a process, that we know what it means, that we can simulate the process, how it was before, how it will be in the future, that we can compare both scenario and see that after process digitization, what would be the gain of this process. So this is how HOPEX will help also improve the customer experience by helping the process digitization. And of course, the last step of that slide is the security and the data governance, in which we see enterprise architecture playing a big role. And enterprise architects are really a key center place today to manage IT compliance, because enterprise architects are really in the heart of knowing what we have today in terms of visibility of technologies, applications connected to the business. Where should we be the most compliant to some regulations? Business continuity. What kind of key critical components will be down if we lose access to an application or another? Data compliance. What kind of data are stored in my application? Are we compliant regarding the regulations with the firewalls, the access to this application? All of that will be key. And today, we've completed the circle at Mega in order to be able to provide one unique solution, one unique platform that will answer to all of that, that would enable our customer to start from an IT portfolio management perspective and then to grow into other solutions, to start from the rationalization, but then to grow into the rationalization. And this is where we think the next-gen enterprise architect is going, will be going, already went, sorry. And this is where we want our platform to be helping this next-gen enterprise architect. So a couple of views that we are going to show you today in the demonstration, of course. But HOPEX V5 has a strong business focus. Again, as I said before, we really want to make sure that what we do as enterprise architect is helpful for the business. And this is where we have provided today process simulation views by coloring the process diagrams by cost, by resource allocation. We're going to see that in the demonstration. We've been able to renovate the capability map to make it even easier to use and even easier to comprehend. And again, we'll see that. We've created CIO Dashboard, a new HOPEX 360 portal, some mobile apps for data browsing. We will talk about that later, and some new way of creating surveys engine so that you can actually start to ask questions, ask feedback from your stakeholder on what you have in the EA repository, and get feedback, assess the applications, assess the processes, and know where you want to start your transformation efforts. And the second piece is that we really enhanced today the EA accelerators. So we have added in our repository now the cloud architecture and the cloud services catalog with the from Amazon, Google, and Azure with the icons, etc. So whenever you are creating something from an architecture point of view, you'll be able to reuse what we have created. And you will see as well that we've added some cloud patterns that would enable us to quickly build new architectures. In the HOPEX store that we have now for a couple of years, but we have enhanced it with new things, you will be able to find new content like APQC, like business capability maps, like BIAN, like ISO requirements, Solvency II requirements. All of that will be available. We enable our customers to create quick as-is-to-be analysis. We can do discovery of assets with CData, Arascent, Mainit, and BIMI, and we can import elements from UCF. And finally, we have built an automated way to do diagramming, meaning that based on the data you have imported, we'll be able to automatically create diagrams. So with that being said, what I would like to do now is that I would like to give the hand to my colleague, Nicolas Hadfield, for him to walk us through in live demonstration what it means to be in the shoes of a next-gen enterprise architect using HOPEX V5 today.
Really great. Thank you for the intro, Yannick. Really appreciate that, setting the stage for us. So I'm going to, so as Yannick mentioned, my name is Nick Hadfield. I'll be walking you through the HOPEX platform here today, focused on the latest and greatest features of V5. So you can see my screen. I'm already logged in. I'm accessing this as an IT business manager. I will switch roles about halfway through this demonstration to an IT architect because there are a couple of features that I'm really excited to share with you there. But otherwise, we will be spending our time in this desktop. So to Yannick's point, a day in the life of an enterprise architect using this platform, it's relatively straightforward getting started. You can import any data around applications, business capabilities, business process, really anything in the meta model that we provide here can either be imported or you can integrate with another system. We provide out-of-the-box connectors, of course, as well as standardized templates for use as well. So this is the main home screen that we're using here for V5. It's tile-based, so I can move my tiles around. However, I need access to a diagram or a report, I can store that here. And then we have a streamlined navigation on the left-hand side. So with each of these, there might be a sub-menu, but that's just hidden for now. So if you want to focus on business architecture or applications, you're really just one click away from drilling into that particular area. There's also a second way that we can organize our information, and that's what I did for our webinar today, is you can create folders in a flat file list with any type of view that's going to be standard for what you need to present. So to begin, we've imported, we've started to describe some of the initial relationships, dependencies that we have, including applications. We've baselined it. Maybe we've began to assess them based on their business value, their technical efficiency, and then you can link those to your capability model. So in this first view that I'll share with you is our capability map. It's a hierarchical view, so I can look at my level 1, level 2, level 3. I can expand it as I need to. So this is my famous airport example. So we have a level 1 called analytics, and airline safety, market-oriented analytics, and customer behavior are a part of that. And we can expand this all the way down to visualize all of our capabilities. But then what's unique about this is we can then pick and choose what we actually want, what relationship, what fulfillment of that business capability do we actually want to visualize. So I can add whatever I want here. I just added a business process and then an application system, really anything that is being used to fulfill that outcome of a business capability. You can link it together here and then you can visualize it. And you can see we've got some different heat indicators on our different objects. I've got my legend here. So any object within Mega, whether it's an application or a process, you can assess it based on strategic factors. So how well does it fit? What is the business value? The way a lot of our customers are using this today is in order to deduce what they want to potentially rationalize or make enhancements or make some kind of innovation. So we can see we've got all these different applications supporting billing management. Maybe there's some redundancy there. Maybe we want to start eliminating or making some enhancements here. But we can use this to start our day out. What kind of systems or processes need some kind of further visual? And then we can also pick and choose what we want to actually analyze here. So I just added a filter here for my business value. Now I'm just, all of the applications that are at least good business value are brought to the foreground. We could add multiple parameters here if we wanted to. So maybe I want to see my good business value applications that are also highly critical based on their SLA level. So we can pick and choose what we want to bring to the foreground and then decide what we want to actually focus on. So if we're building out a new use case, for example, around this order management application because of its high business value and the criticality and maybe a few other factors, we can start to think about how we want to actually make enhancements or make improvements to that system because it fulfills a strategic business capability based on our strategy. So this second view that I have here, it's a transformation roadmap. So this is based on the business architecture. You can describe and define your business motivation model. So whatever your goals and objectives and your strategy to achieve that, you can describe, and then we can report on it in a way that you see here. So we have stages. These are our phases. They're a period of time. They have a start and an end date. And within that period of time, we can define what we actually want to achieve. So in my customer satisfaction improvement, I have these goals that are ongoing, mainly focused around making improvements, enhancements for the passenger experience. Both, again, it's an airport example, so both in the terminal and on the aircraft itself. So we have goals, and then we can link our objectives to it. And then within that, we can link our business capabilities as well. And we can describe what business capabilities do we need to make those enhancements or have these ongoing decommissioning projects in order to actually achieve that outcome based on our described goals. So in this Gantt view that I just scrolled down to, we have the transformation stages, those phases, those periods of time. At the top, we have the baseline and then the customer satisfaction improvement in the blue. And then at the bottom in the green, you can see that we have a couple of phases that we haven't fully described yet. Beneath where it says 01 customer satisfaction improvement, we've linked the project. So the project is in gray, introduce new online platform, deploy the Air Inc. application, retire fast booking. Those are the projects, and then beneath that yellow symbol, the iconography is always the same. It's consistent throughout HOPEX. If this is your first time seeing it, that's a business capability. So that yellow symbol indicates that passenger management, and then beneath that baggage management and sales and services. These are the business capabilities that are going to be impacted by these projects. So where we are retiring the fast booking application, baggage management and sales and services are going to be impacted in some kind of way. So we can start to analyze that as we need to. Additionally, we made some changes to or enhancements, improvements to the business process analysis as well. So this is a pretty standard view here of a process flow. And what we've described here is how do we actually prepare the meal tray, whether it's on our flight or in the terminal, what is involved there? So a client or a customer makes the request to our catering service. They're managing this initial handoff to receive command and book staff. And then there's a handoff to the managers. So this is all described in BPMN notation. So we are completely adherent there. And we have this capability to automatically flip our diagram. So if you're a BPMN purist, if you will, you can go right to that horizontal view, or we can flip it right back to the vertical. And either way, we're going to be compliant with those regulations, with those rules. In his introduction, Yannick had mentioned that you have the ability to simulate. So with the simulation tool within HOPEX and business process analysis, each one of these steps, so receive, validate, gather, you can allocate a cost or a time and then simulate what that might mean if you start to make other changes. So if you, let's say, wanted to add an additional resource to the catering service or to the managers, you can start to really kind of tinker with that and understand what that might actually mean. And that's via a report. So I pre-built those two different simulation scenarios, and that's what we're visualizing here in our report. So I have a scenario A and then a scenario B. I've just made some slight changes to it, really just if we get some additional usage out of it. So in our scenario B, what we're indicating is that we can actually make this 7 or 8 minutes, 9 minutes even faster by allocating an additional resource. And then we can understand what the delta is. So what's the ratio between making those two changes? So we have all the different inputs available to us. Here is where I've simulated the different type of cost based on allocating that additional resource. And then we have a heat indicator on the process flow itself. So this is that same example, prepare meal tray. But then here in HOPEX, we're highlighting where the biggest change could take place between these two different scenarios. So then when you want to actually make that change in real life to produce a faster results or a lower cost, or maybe to Yannick's example, you can actually digitize a part of this process, maybe not specifically for the meal tray, but for another type of process, then you can start to understand where you can make that biggest difference when you digitize it or when you allocate an additional resource. So that's looking at the process flow. So you've got that ability to automatically orientate your process flow. You can perform the simulation. We've also added the ability to perform a smart analysis. So going back to the application example, in this view, we are looking at a list of portfolios that are available to perform a smart analysis to, is what we call this. So airport IT rationalization. This is a portfolio of applications, and we can use that to perform an analysis of these applications. So I have inputs for a cloud migration analysis. I also have inputs for a time analysis, and then we can choose which one we want to actually investigate. And then HOPEX makes a recommendation to us based on predetermined factors, would be the easiest way to describe it. So if we go to our completion details, we have a complete readout of what is going into this decision. So we're looking at the technical efficiency, the business value here on the far right. That information is gleaned from an assessment, so you can crowdsource. You can get that information from a workflow. You can also input directly the business value or the technical efficiency. And then we have other factors that we're looking at. What's the life cycle? What's the SLA level? This is configurable, and you could add additional factors that you want to analyze. You could also change the weighting of those. So if the SLA level or the technical efficiency is more important than some other factor, you can weight it out that way. And then we have a recommendation. So we're looking at how complete are the data inputs that we have from our applications. These are the list of all the applications belonging to our portfolio. And then we have a recommendation. Should we invest? Should we maintain? Should we eliminate? So it's based on the time model. You can create a decision directly here, and then this could go into a project. So what do I decide to do? I want to eliminate this application called fast booking, and then we can enter that into its own type of workflow. Finally, on this view, we can visualize it. So this is the tolerate, invest, migrate, eliminate, all of those decisions that we had made available to us. We can drill into it and see exactly what those applications are. So here are all of the applications that we think that we should make some kind of improvements or enhancement to. So this is Nextgen EA. It's smart. We're making recommendations. You can use your capability map to start your day, understand where you want to make enhancements or make some kind of innovation, understand your strategy and what you want to achieve during a given point in time. You can then simulate processes, start to think about targets that you want to make some kind of shift, whether to digitize it or allocate additional resources, or maybe even just to cut some costs. And then we can also look into IT, analyze the applications that we have, and then start to get this decision-making engine helping us to make those types of decisions as we need to. So I'm going to switch now to a more IT architecture focused view. So I'm logged in as an IT architect. You can see the look and feel is the same. The navigation on the left-hand side has changed. So I was logged in as an IT business manager before, so I was focused on business architecture. All of that is eliminated here. I'm mainly focused on what I have for my applications. I can still drill into my favorites though, and what we'll do here is actually access the solution architecture. So what we're looking at in this view, we are describing the interactions between different applications. These are the same applications, from the APM functionality, but we are describing the interactions, the content, the data that's being exchanged between them. So in my example here, my online ordering platform is sending guided walking directions, order canceled information to our application, the airportmega.com. This is something that you can drill into. So if I want to understand what is the structure of this, this application, I can drill to that level. But what I really wanted to hone in on here is the fact that you now have the cloud catalog. So this, my example is based on the Amazon, the AWS iconography, but we also, you have the capability to use Azure, Google as well. So you've got flexibility there. These are the official icons, and this is based on a cloud reference model. So you can build out a reference model and then use that in a template to then build out new deployments of new applications with new use cases. We'll return to that in just a couple of moments, and I'll show you a quick output of the templates. But now what I want to do is just navigate back and show you this comparison feature. So we have the food on the fly system. I also have a food on the fly version 2 as well. And what you can do with this in V5 is you can actually compare those different stages. So you could have, I'm just looking at 2 stages, but you could have multiple, you could have transition stages or transition states. And then we're analyzing what is the delta, what is the difference between those 2 versions. So we can go to a side-by-side view here, just kind of quickly. The red indicates what is being deleted or removed from one example to the next. So in my V1, we're eliminating this airport mega, we're eliminating the payment gateway, as well as its exchange contract, and then we're replacing it with a new payment service and payment system, application system there. And now we have a direct connection over here to our airport mobile. So it's a slider. We can move it across. We can visualize it side by side. And then if we scroll down, we have in our table the list of all of the changes. So what has been deleted, what has been created, what has been potentially modified within this system from one phase to the next. And then this functionality, what's great about it is that it's available on the process model as well. So when you're simulating and then deciding how you want to make changes to a process model, you can use the same functionality that you see here for the solution architecture. So that's the ability to compare the delta. I had mentioned that you can also drill into the deployment and build out a template. So from this screen, we're looking at the deployment. So where we saw the Amazon, the AWS iconography, this is where we can start to reuse some of that based on a template that's predefined. So I choose the application that I want to describe its deployment. These are the 3 templates that I've already built out, but you could build as many as you need to. We choose which one we want to use, and then we click OK. And then here we are at a screen where we can then choose what approved technologies we want to use. So when I'm describing this deployment, I have my database. I'm going to choose SQL. I already chose my client. We went with Chrome. And then again, this is based on the reference model. So we can choose all of our inputs here for what we want to actually deploy. Click OK. And then HOPEX will automatically create this, this new deployment for this online ordering platform based on that template. So the client, the web server, the database, this was all predefined with the technology options. I just chose the technology that I want to use, and it's automatically placing this onto my diagram for me. So the solution architect doesn't have to begin from scratch. They can already, you don't have to redefine the wheel or reinvent the wheel. You can use what's already a proven method, and then potentially avoid, make it frictionless, make it easier to actually create and deploy what you need to create and deploy ultimately. This is based on a template. And then we also have capability here in V5 to build out new use cases. So whether it's interactions or flows between our different systems, we can initialize it based on a specific starting point. So I'm going to choose in my application environment this online ordering platform, and then I'm going to create this diagram. I can choose what type. So we have a couple of different types here. I want the scenario of application flows. So this is just looking at the content being sent or received from one application to the next. So I've already got my application in my diagram, and then I can choose to initialize. So what this is doing is it's looking at all of the other connections that I've described, whether it's in a table or if it's in some other diagram, and then I can pick and choose what I want to actually reuse, and then I can add on later whatever I need to make this use case unique. So here I have the ability to choose what am I sending and receiving with this other application called the Airport Mobile. So I can pick a couple of contents here if I want to, or I could just choose everything. So for example, if I want to reuse everything that's available in billing or in this CRM, it's going to automatically grab everything. Click OK. We get asked a question if we want to automatically lay out this diagram. We just choose OK. And then now we've got this new use case sort of predefined here. So we're reusing all of the interactions or flows that we already have, and then we can add an additional application. So if we want to reuse those connections, and then we can, now you can see the autocomplete here. I start typing in desk, and then I can choose another application from my APM, and then I can choose my flow, and then I can link this up to create our new use case here. So I can also reuse the content if I want to. So we'll just choose one, right? Oops, clicked a little too fast there. But then we can link this up. So the idea here is that based on the data that you already have, you can build out new use cases and define and describe this however you need to. So this is Nextgen EA. This is what we offer at Mega. That is the platform. So that was all, I accessed everything that you just saw via a web browser. So I use Chrome, but regardless if you're a Mac user or if you're a PC user, you're gonna use your favorite web browser to access that. So that has full read and write capabilities. What you see on your screen right now is an EA portal. So this is a website generated by HOPEX. It's updated based on the requirements of the customer. So whether it's daily or weekly, doesn't really matter. You can update this with any artifact, any view, any report that you have stored within HOPEX. So for example, if we wanted to drill into an application, we have a list of applications very similar to what we saw in HOPEX already. Can drill it to one application ID card. This is one called Airport Mobile. We have visualizations here. So in this example, we're looking at dependencies. So we have some content that's being exchanged between the Airport Mobile, the online ordering platform, and catalog management. We could expand this to understand if there are any other dependencies linked to these applications as well, if we've described that. And then we can bring in anything else that we would want to visualize. So show me the technologies or the projects or the processes that this application is involved with. It's dynamic. We can drill into it. So I can take this process, I can click right there on that icon, and now I'm looking at the diagram of this process called Provide Executive Business Travel. So anything within the HOPEX meta model is accounted for here. From the business architecture that we started out the demonstration with, looking at the capabilities, of course, the processes. Something that we're not really touching on here in this demonstration is the information architecture. So we have a full data governance offering with this platform, in addition to everything that you've seen so far. And then finally, as our final screen here, we have this CIO Dashboard. So in this perspective, we're mainly focused on the APM feature and functionality of HOPEX, but we can take any of those views and then place it here on this website for mass consumption. So in this view, I'm looking at application lifecycle. How many applications will I have in retirement in January of 2025? Or if I mouse over to the green line, I'm looking at how many applications will be in production. So we can hover over, understand the lifecycle information. We can also understand how are we fulfilling our business capabilities. So I can click into our capability, sales and services, and I have a list of the applications that actually are fulfilling that. And then we've got some different heat indicators here about the business value, the functional support, the technical efficiency. So here are all of the high in value and high in efficiency applications. We can quickly drill into a list view there. But then we can also partition this. So if you recall back to those portfolios that we performed the smart analysis on, we can actually choose specifically what portfolio would we like to focus on. So I can choose the airport IT rationalization evaluation portfolio or my global application portfolio, and everything shifts just based on that specific context. All right, so that is what I wanted to demonstrate today. I did go a little bit over time. We're still going to do Q&A with Yannick. He's going to manage that. Hopefully there are plenty of great questions. But that's an overview of V5. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, and I will send it back over to Yannick.
Thank you very much, Nick. Before concluding, I would just like to focus on 3 new capabilities as well that we've added. Today with Nick, we have seen how the enterprise architecture will benefit from this new platform, and I just would like to introduce you to 3 new capabilities that we're going to have some following webinar on, full webinars on that. Do not hesitate to ask your questions in the question box. We already have a couple, so do not hesitate to ask some questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them at the end of the session. So talking about new capabilities. So with these platform enhancements we have made, on top of them, we are introducing 3 new capabilities. One full new product that is called HOPEX Data Governance. We have a second one that is a new use case that is called IT compliance, and a last one that is called business continuity management is also a new use case. If we focus first on the data governance, the data governance product that we have released is a full data governance solution that will enable you to support all the data stakeholders mission, meaning data knowledge, data quality, data compliance, and of course it promotes data literacy, meaning that you will build from that view a data glossary, and you will be able to publish this information through a portal, through a mobile app, for all the employees to benefit from the definition from the business of all the data that you're gonna have. For us at Mega, having data governance within the EA repository was a no-brainer. We really think that the chief data officers will always benefit from the synergy from enterprise architecture, business process management, and GRC. Understanding how data is managed and exchanged between application, where it's stored, what kind of repository manages the client information, the prospect information. All of that must be understood. Then how data, of course, is used into processes. And of course, how data compliance is managed in line with global risk management. Understanding if you have some data that might be confidential, data that might be important for any, I would say, compliance operations. Where does it lie? What kind of business impact you're gonna have? Then again, we're gonna have a full webinar coming soon on that topic. Second use case that we have introduced, new use case that we have introduced is the IT compliance. And again, for us, we are helping IT compliance by providing a full solution that starts from discovering automatically, importing automatically all the compliance framework that you need from UCF, importing them, making sure that you have the right controls in place to support these compliances, and making sure that these controls are implemented by a process, by an IT solution, by a technology, that when you deploy a new solution architecture, you make sure that if you want to be compliant with NIST, that you have a strong password management, that you have firewalls in place, that you have the right ports open or closed. All of that will be managed by the IT solution view. And for us, again, it was very straightforward to have IT compliance within the same repository with connections with EA, BPM, and GRC, because directly we can understand what are the most impacted assets in scope for our compliance framework. If I want to be compliant with a specific framework, where do I need to transform? What is the business that is impacted? What are the IT assets that are being used for and for which business usage? What are the IT assets that we architect? Where is the data used? All of that is very important for us. And finally, the last use case that we have added in our arsenal, I would say, is the business continuity management. There, we help business continuity officers to, first of all, understand the critical operation by understanding which customers consumes what, to understand as well how which products are consumed and which products are critical for the enterprise, and to help identify which are basically the critical processes. And once we have identified that, we build plans, we test the plans, and we review remediation scenario for within our solution. So we really help the business continuity officers to describe the plans and make sure that when a crisis happens, we launch the right workflow in order to alert the right person. And again, for us, it was a no-brainer to connect that with the rest of the EA platform, because we need to understand when we do a business continuity management plan, we need to understand what are the critical processes, which are the applications that are critical for those processes, and how our clients are consuming products and services from your organization to understand which one of your products or services are critical. So here it's 3 new use cases. Again, we're going to do one webinar on each of that is coming up, because all of these are topics by themselves. So before I go to the questions, as I see the question box has been filled out. So we do have availability for you to try out our platform. So of course, you've seen the major changes today with Nick and myself. Of course, you can try out the platform by requesting a new trial today, and we'll be more than happy to help you. All right, let's take a couple of questions. First question that we have on the box is, does Mega support GraphQL? Yes, Mega has a standard GraphQL API that you can use right out of the box and to connect to any type of interfaces. So yeah, that completely works. And I see that the 2 questions that were asked by the same person are pertaining to the same kind of view. So we have an API in GraphQL, but we also have APIs in Java and .NET if you need to code in that. But GraphQL is the most used today. And we use GraphQL to connect to tools like Power BI, for instance. So from Power BI, you could actually start to query the repository and to build your own reports based on your favorite reporting platform, Tableau, Power BI, or others, if that's relevant for you. Other question that we have is it possible to create our own architecture template? So yes. So what Nick was showing today in the demonstration is 3 architecture templates that we provide out of the box. And of course, if you want, you can create your own. We will add more into those. So we'll be really able to have flexibility there and to create your own cloud patterns and more complex patterns, including WAF, including SSO, including all of the types of security you want to add in your patterns. Other question is pertaining to how do we import data for the smart reporting? So, okay, so the smart reporting actually is connected to multiple types of data, right? Where when we do recommendation on which application needs to be migrated to cloud or which application need to eliminate or invest in, it requires data such as life cycle, such as cost, such as technology, such as code scanning. But the great thing about what we did is that we didn't say that it was required to have all of those. So you complete what you have, and based on what you have, we give a recommendation, but then we'll add on that based on the 40% that is completed on the application, we recommend this. But then you can add more if you want it. And the idea is that the way we can import this information will be in multiple ways. Either can be asking a stakeholder to directly bring information through the interface, or import through Erasent, import through Excel, import through GraphQL. Any kind of importation of data is supported if you need those information to be automatically imported. So it works both ways, depending on what type of information we're talking about. Okay, I think we are at the end of our question list. Great question, by the way. Thank you very much for asking those. So this concludes for today our presentation on HOPEX V5. Again, do not hesitate to contact us for any questions, for any requests for trials. We will be more than happy to provide you with platforms and provide you with information on this platform. So this only leaves me to thank you all for your participation. Thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for your attention, and hope to see you soon to discuss about enterprise architecture. Thank you very much, everybody, and talk to you soon.